In this episode, hosts Michelle Hanson and Olivia James discuss Fear Street book number 4, Missing, which was released January 1990. Here's Olivia with the synopsis.
Please help. Our parents are missing. What would you do if your parents didn't come home, didn't call, left no note? At first, Mark and Kara Burrows aren't terribly alarmed. Their parents have stayed out late before, but then other things start to go wrong. Mark's girlfriend Gina breaks up with him and suddenly disappears. The police don't seem at all interested in finding Mark and Kara's parents, and their mysterious cousin who boards with them seems to be spying on their every move. When murder strikes, Mark and Kara learn their terror is only the beginning. Someone wants them to disappear too, but why? The answer lies deep in the Fear Street woods, but will they live long enough to find it? Is that Kara or Kara? I'm not even sure.
I've been saying Kara, but it could be Kara.
I feel like I probably just did it interchangeably, and then when I got to the book, I picked one and had to go with it, as I already said it.
Which one did you?
No,
You went with Kara or Kara?
I mean, I just said Kara in my synopsis,
Okay.
but I'm sure I said Kara just as often when reading it, so I don't know.
So, yeah, just for our 8 listeners out there, Kara and Kara will be interchangeable.
Sure.
Same person. So, speaking of listeners, I found out that R.L. Stine is going to be at our library, Columbus Metro Library, doing, I don't know, some whatever he's doing.
Okay.
A Q&A.
Sure.
And it sold out.
Oh, wow.
So I tried to get tickets. It's a free event, but you have to get tickets for it because I think it's 800 people fit in the room, and then there's going to be overflow, something along those lines. So I saw that it had sold out, and so I contacted the library, and I was like, hey, I run a podcast on the Fear Street books. I'm a Columbus local. If there's a wait list or an extra ticket happens to come about, will you please let me know? Immediately, the librarian writes back, and she's like, that sold out in 2 minutes, and we have a wait list of close to 1,500 people.
Whoa.
So basically said, I don't care about your podcast.
Yeah.
It's a huge event for us. And she was like, you can come in the overflow and maybe stick around if you want to. And I was like, okay.
That's not the way I thought that story was going to go.
No.
As you're explaining this, I'm like, they're probably going to be like, oh, great, come, we'll see. Yeah.
So by the time this podcast airs, the event itself, I think, will be a week away or may have already done it. So long story short, we are not going to see the Fear Street R.L. Stine.
Unless one of our 8 listeners has a ticket and would like to offer it.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That would be so nice.
So moving forward, because of that, because we are not going to meet RL, because we are not going to tell him, hey, we have a podcast about Fear Street, I no longer care about being PC and nice about his work.
Oh, no. Okay, I was going to, again, not how I thought it was going to go. I was like, why don't you reach out to him directly and see if he can get you in? Okay.
Claws are out. RL, I'm coming for you.
Okay. Let's start with that stupid name, RL. Who's named RL?
Really? Okay, JK. So anyway, this book came out in January 1990. I know we always say how old we were.
Sure.
So in January 1990, were you still 6 years old?
I was.
Okay. I was still 10 years old.
Okay.
In Missing, the book, it goes straight into chapter 1. There's no prologue, like how there has for other ones.
Yeah, no teaser at all.
No teaser. It's in first person, and for quite a while in the first chapter, we don't know who the narrator is. In my notes when I was going through it at first, I was just saying, so the narrator said, and the narrator. But we find out in first person, chapter 1, the narrator is Kara, and her brother Mark are having a party, and their parents have gone missing. Mark invited Gina, his girlfriend, and Kara invited Lisa and Shannon from school. No last names were given.
No, but we've heard those first names before.
Yeah. So we're familiar with the names except for Gina. And once Kara invited Lisa and Shannon, they pretty much invited the entire school. So everybody's there in this living room. Mark and Kara had just moved to Shadyside 2 months prior in September, so it sounds like we're in November, probably around Thanksgiving.
So are we in these books? Are we in the second school year or the third school year since they started? I'm trying to create a full timeline.
I feel like, well,
were the first three all in the same school year?
yeah, because it was in the May months.
Okay.
Right? So it was May.
I thought there was a fall one. Was the first one a fall? No, I don't remember.
Maybe it was.
I think it was because Lisa was dating for a while. By the second book, she'd been dating Corey.
Corey.
Yeah, for a while.
Corey Brooks. Yes, the first one, the new girl talks about seeing footprints in the snow.
Right.
So it was winter, and then by the time the second and third book came around, they were in graduation area, spring.
So we still don't know what grade this group of kids that keep reoccurring are, but they're at least sophomores, if not older.
Sophomores or juniors, because they do mention their ages here in this one. So we're in the November month.
I want to track and see if there's more than 4 years and Lisa's still in school.
Yeah,
right.
See how long she is. So Mark and Kara live on Fear Street, and Mark is 1 year older than Kara. Mark believes the stories about Fear Street that he's heard from his classmates, just that it's spooky and people go missing and all that. We learned that it's easy for Mark to make friends, and he has a girlfriend, Gina Rawlings. Mark had a blowout earlier with his parents during breakfast about how much time he spends with Gina. And Kara doesn't care for her either, but also doesn't think that her parents should be so judgmental. Kara is, during the blowout that he had with the parents, Kara is eating a Pop-Tart for breakfast. So we have another brand name. So Mark got into an argument with the parents last year over sneaking out and taking the car. And the parents called the cops. So they're setting it up that Mark's kind of like a little rebel. We find out that Mark is 16, and so that makes Kara 15 years old. So they're sophomore, juniors.
Yeah, I turned 16 spring of my sophomore year. So if this is fall, she's probably sophomore.
Okay.
And he's a junior.
Yeah.
Which would probably peg Lisa and them as freshmen in the first book?
I would think.
It didn't read like they were freshmen.
Because I thought they were 15, 16 as well.
I mean, maybe they are older kids and they befriended, because high school, there's a little more crossover in ages. Yeah. But it's, I don't know, I almost feel like it's like a TV show where you're deciding retroactively how old characters are and keeping them.
Mark and Kara, they frequently move because of their parents' job. This is the 6th place they've lived in the past 8 years. So after the blowout with his parents, Mark leaves the house and he's out back shooting arrows. Apparently he's really good at archery. That's his stress reliever. Mark and Kara walk to the bus stop, and Mark wants to know what's wrong with Gina. Why does everyone have such ill feelings about her? And so then Kara goes and describes Gina, and I'm going to read it.
Okay.
Because I have questions over how Kara sees Gina.
Okay.
Gina was short, but to put it bluntly, which I'm good at, she had a great bod. She also was really pretty, with long, straight black hair down to her waist, creamy white skin without a blemish, and beautiful black eyes that absolutely drove boys crazy. All of the guys at school think Gina is really sexy, and she is. Kara, I'm going to tell you right now, you are a closeted lesbian.
Well, I mean, this obviously was written by a male, so that could be where...
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Kara's a lesbian.
Later in the book, she hears some boy has a crush on her and she likes that, but yeah. She's at least bi.
Yeah. I think she likes that because she's like, oh, good.
Yeah. I've got a beard and no age.
Beard. So that's how Kara describes Gina. So now we're back at the party, and Kara talks about sexy Gina sitting with brother Mark on the couch, and she's watching them make out. Her friend Lisa is there with her boyfriend Corey. So now we know that it's Lisa Bloom and Corey Brooks from the first, at least the first 2 books.
At least, unless there's another Lisa and Corey couple at Fear Street High School or Shadyside High School.
Yeah. So Kara wonders where her parents are because it's getting late, and Gina and Mark are kissing on the couch, and Kara is a little bit jealous and also mentions she's a little turned on by it.
Yeah, because she's looking at Gina, and she's a lesbian.
And she's jealous of her brother, Mark.
Yeah, I don't get any Cruel Intentions vibes here that there's anything.
No. So then the doorbell rings, and it's a police officer. Kara knows something has happened to her parents, because why else would a police officer show up? And that takes us to chapter 2.
Police Captain Faraday says there was a burglary in the neighborhood and wants to know if they saw anything. Or if she saw anything. Kara says no, and Faraday gives her his card. He walks back to a Chevy Caprice instead of a police car. Chevy Caprice looks 1965 to 1996. Is that what that? Yep. That's when the car was made.
That's when the car was made.
Yeah, that didn't raise any alarm bells because it's cops drive other undercover cops. But what gave me the alarm bells is just like he keeps showing up, and she never actually calls the police station, and I'm like, okay, there's definitely gonna be something there.
Yeah.
Corey's friend David Metcalf, so yeah, it's definitely the same Corey, is there, and Corey got a little sick and vomits, but it's a practical joke, rubber vomit. Who finds that crap funny? I never did. Yeah. Kara decides to end the party. Everyone leaves except Mark and Gina, who are still making on the couch, and she's still jealous. She mentions no one from the party noticed the police officer came to the door. That's the other thing that's kind of suspicious is the police officer, like, your parents aren't home. There's a bunch of teenagers in your house, but I'm just going to walk away and not even check it out to make sure there's nothing untoward.
Maybe Captain Faraday is one of those, like, cool cops who only cares about, like, the serious crimes.
Okay.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure. Another knock at the door. It's Corey. He forgot his fake vomit. Can you imagine the gall of going back to ask for your fake vomit that you just grossed somebody out with?
So you toss fake vomit into the living room, grosses everybody out. The joke doesn't go well. He leaves it there, and then he's like, oh, better go get it. Yeah. Next party, it might do better.
I spent $10 on that at the mall. Yeah. So Gina asks Corey for a ride home, and they leave. Kara and Mark clean up the party mess, but Mark doesn't think their parents are coming home. Sometimes they work late or stay out partying all night. Yeah, their parents are cool. They work with computers. So what kind of computer specialists do you know that stay out and party all night? Not very much. Unless they're like video gaming or something.
Maybe, but this was this was literally 1990s.
Right.
So how many video gamers were?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Unless like Atari all night long.
Yeah. Oh, they said they're young and they don't act like parents. They always join a social club, probably swingers.
That's my The whole time I'm reading this book, I'm like, they're swingers.
That did cross my mind. R.L. Stine, the target audience probably didn't see it that way. But while cleaning up, Mark worries the parents got in a car accident on Fear Street and maybe have amnesia. Totally different book. Kara thinks it's ridiculous, but they decide to call their parents' work number to check on them. But the phone line is dead. Not
Fear Street be Fear Streeting.
I mean, I feel like that was... there are a lot of red herrings in this book, and the phone line never paid off in any real way, other than it did contribute to them figuring things out, but it didn't, we never found out why the phone was dead. We never,
Right.
Yeah, and I feel like that's part of the weakness of this book is there's all these things that are kind of set up and that don't pay off. A lot of Chekhov's guns that don't get fired.
Right. So in chapter 3, they hang up the phone and realize that's the reason they haven't heard from their parents. So, okay, because the phone line's dead.
Sure.
So after they hang up the phone, realizing that it's dead, they hear footsteps up above them. And then they hear the footsteps go down the steps and into the kitchen where they are. Lo and behold, it's distant cousin Roger.
Mm-hmm.
He's been staying with them. He's so quiet that they forgot he was there. Roger lives in the attic and goes to a junior college nearby. Kara also thinks he's cute. My side note was, cue flowers in the attic.
So she is probably bi then.
Yeah. I'm leaning more towards lesbian.
Okay.
But yeah, she's young, so she probably has some bi tendencies right now. Kara gives a side note that their parents have let other college students crash at their place over the years. So it seems like each place they've lived, some random college student is just living with them.
Which is suspicious, but then it doesn't make sense to me why this one had to be a cousin when the other ones are just random college students.
Right.
There's no payoff to that either.
Right. Like, did they know that they had relatives in Shadyside, Ohio? So Roger wants to ask the parents a question, but they aren't home. So he asks if the parents called or left a note, but they didn't. Roger goes back to the attic and Mark goes to watch Star Trek. So apparently he's a Trekkie.
Yeah, they even described the episode. It's the Gamesters of Triskelion. I recognized it immediately.
I have the page marked. So on page 22, they give the synopsis. So what one is it?
The Gamesters of Triskelion.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure because they wear the collars and there's these silvery outfits. And
So knowing that episode, does that episode's plot coincide with this storyline
No.
at all? Okay, so just some random episode.
And it's not even one of the better ones. Like, it's fine.
Okay.
It's not.
Do you think RL is a Trekkie? Because this is like the third time I think he's
Something like that,
mentioned
yeah.
Star Trek, and second 2 times at least. So 2 to 3 times out of 4 books he has mentioned Star Trek.
Either that or he just figured the people watching or people reading, were Trekkies. At that point in 1990, Star Trek The Next Generation was still in the air and it was very, very popular.
Was it?
So it was like the Friends level popular of its day.
Oh.
It was huge. It was the #1 show on television for a bit there.
Okay.
And so it may have just been like, this is a popular thing kids are watching because they were watching The Next Generation. Now the Kirk's show, they weren't watching that nearly as much. So I don't know, but I was Googling R.L. Stine's Star Trek to see. He wrote Star Trek Diary, a 1997 diary and calendar celebrating the Star Trek's 30th anniversary. So yeah, he's worked on Star Trek. He must be a Trekkie.
He's a Trekkie?
Must
Okay.
be. Good that makes me like him slightly more.
Oh, that's good.
I know we have to hate him now, right?
Uh-huh. So now it's 1 a.m. and Mark and Kara check the parents' room in case they left a note there, because I know when my parents, went out for the evening, that's where they would leave a note, is in their bedroom.
In the drawer with the adult toys, right?
Yeah, exactly. So Kara opens their bedroom door and screams because the parents' bedroom window is open and their parents' bed looks like something horrible happened.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's parents having sex.
Oh, I was thinking like blood and broken things.
Well, that's probably what we're meant to believe. But then in chapter 4, we find out what that something horrible is.
Well, and I guess those two things aren't mutually exclusive, blood and broken things and sex, but
that is very true.
Yeah. Chapter 4, this was really jarring to me that all of a sudden now we're at Mark's point of view, because after 3 chapters of Kara's, I feel like he should have switched earlier, because then the rest of the book I was like, just get back to Kara. I don't need to be in Mark's perspective. But he yells at Kara to calm down. She's supposed to be the calm one, and he's the worrier, of course. Make the woman handle the emotional load of what you're going through.
But then tell her to calm down.
Right. And she obeys and calms down immediately. He doesn't understand why Kara's freaked out over their bed not being made, and reminds her that they've stayed out late before. Then he thinks how hot Gina is and wonders why their parents don't like her. So that might lead to the sex, like, oh, definitely sex here. Now I'm thinking about Gina.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But the parents say they know more than he does. Yeah, of course they're going to. And as he's thinking about Gina, Mark and Kara both see shoes sticking out from under the curtains. The number of false cliffhangers at the end of these chapters in this book, the ones that don't really pay off and don't make sense, they just seem so hokey.
Yeah. And that might be because we are reading them so close together, and we have adult brains now to where we're like, come on, really?
No, you're right. Kids, it's written in a very simplistic style that is very, almost too childish in my opinion, but he was obviously extremely successful writing for kids. So
Right. So we're in chapter 5, and we find out that the shoe sticking out from under the curtains, it's Roger.
Mm-hmm.
He's behind the curtains looking out the window. He says he went to look for the parents or to see if they left a note, but then he heard something outside and went to the window. Why does everyone in this book think the parents are going to leave a note in the bedroom?
I don't know. Also, the hiding behind the curtain, isn't that like Shakespearean? Like Polonius, wasn't he stabbed hiding behind the curtain? They should have shot an arrow through the curtain first.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So Roger leaves the bedroom, and Mark looks outside and sees a gray van parked in the street. Kara lays on the bed and feels something under her mom's pillow. She pulls it out, and it's a monkey skull head the size of a ping pong ball, carved out of ivory with yellow rhinestones in the eye sockets. Kara and Mark mention that it's creepy, and Mark thinks it feels cold, and he tosses it to Kara, who asks where it came from. But Mark doesn't know, because why would he?
Right. This whole monkey thing and some of the stuff that happens, dead bodies and stuff in this book, it feels a little more adult in terms of like the level of threat they're facing than the first 3 books.
I agree. I feel like this one is our first taste of like an actual mature story where it is kind of a little more than just oh no, a ghost girl.
Right. Right. Like there were people that like tried to kill somebody in previous or fired a gun, but nobody got like any serious mortal danger. And this is different.
Yeah.
Well, probably because the mystery is an adult mystery that they get pulled into, right? Rather than it being about their peers.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So, yeah. Chapter 6, Mark is in bed thinking about Gina and his parents not being home. I don't know why he's thinking about his parents when he's thinking about Gina in bed, but whatever. It's almost 2 a.m. He goes to his window and looks outside and sees the gray van is still there. Then he sees Roger running in the front yard and gets in the van. Mark goes to wake up Kara, but sees the white monkey head glowing on his nightstand. He can't remember bringing the monkey skull to his room, something we never find out for sure. If somebody put it there or not.
Yeah.
Mark thinks Roger is either buying drugs or meeting a girl in the van. He decides to go look in Roger's room for clues, but just as he walks up the first attic step, of course Roger comes up behind him and asks what he's doing. I mean, didn't think for 1 second he wasn't going to get caught.
No, right.
So dumb.
So do you think Roger is in this swingers club that's taking place in the van outside?
I did not even consider that. There's more comfortable places to do it than a van.
I would think so too, but I mean, maybe he likes adventure. So in chapter 7, Mark tells Roger he's going to the bathroom, but Roger reminds him that the attic is not the bathroom. Mark asks Roger why he's up, and Roger says he couldn't sleep and went for a walk, and he doesn't mention anything about the gray van. So Mark and Roger head their separate ways, and Mark has a nightmare that he was left at an abandoned amusement park. When he wakes up at 7 a.m., he heads downstairs expecting to see his parents, but they aren't there. Kara's in the kitchen, though. There's no milk in the fridge, so Kara decides to eat cornflakes and Coke.
Right.
She just pours the Coke all over it.
I feel like that was a thing in the 90s. I never did it, but I swear this isn't the first time I've heard of this.
Really?
Yeah.
So while Kara is eating her cornflakes and Diet Coke or Coca-Cola, Mark remembers the gray van and looks outside, but the van is gone. Kara and Mark go upstairs to look for their parents, but their parents aren't there either. Then Mark tells Kara about the van and Roger, and they decide to ask Roger what he was doing in the van. They go up to the attic, but Roger isn't there. They snoop through his room and see that none of his notebooks have been written in and none of his textbooks have been highlighted, which is kind of a staple if you are a college student.
No,
right?
I never ever
You
wrote
didn't take notes?
Oh, I took notes, but the textbook thing, I would never make a mark on my textbook.
Oh, no, I didn't because I was going to sell my books back because we got money for that.
I did it because I treat books as sacred, but
Okay.
I don't think I ever sold any of them back. Even though I probably never opened them again. Of course, by halfway through college, I just stopped buying the books because you realize you don't actually need to buy most of the book.
Right. So anyway, Kara and Mark go through Roger's drawers and see one drawer is filled with underwear, but underneath the underwear is a snub-nosed pistol.
Mm-hmm. Because, we're going to dig through some strange guy's underwear. Okay. Kara's point of view now. Mark puts the gun back and they go downstairs to check on the phone. Still dead. Kara goes down the street to Mrs. Fisher's house to use her phone. Have we mentioned her before in other books? I did. The name
I don't
ring
think
a bell.
so.
Okay. She does mention how attractive Mrs. Fisher is. And you wrote, Kara's a closet lesbian who will realize it once she gets to college. Her house smells like smoke. She lets Kara in to use the phone. She calls her parents, who work at Cranford Industries, and Mrs. Fisher mentions that they make airplane parts for the government. Later in the book, it seems like they make weapons of some sort. Are they considering the airplanes weapons? I don't understand.
I don't know.
Or is it the part like guns you attach to a military plane?
That's what I started to piece together.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Kara calls her parents' direct line, but no answer. She then calls the phone company and said they said they'll send someone over to repair the line, although they've got no other calls. The phone lines are down. Kara thanks Mrs. Fisher for the phone, but Mrs. Fisher doesn't answer her for some reason. Mrs. Fisher, I don't think, is mentioned again in this book, so bizarre. Kara heads home to tell Mark they're going to cut school and go to Cranford Industries to look for their parents. And when she gets home, though, she sees her parents' car is still in the garage. Dun, dun, dun.
So I think we're either supposed to think that the parents are home or they just left the car there.
Right. And that would be highly suspicious if they left the car there. So it's a clue that they're in the area. They're not like towns away. Yeah.
And in chapter 9, Mark and Kara take the family car to Cranford Industries. When Mark backs the car out of the driveway, they see the gray van parked outside the house. Mark asks the driver if he's waiting for Roger, and the driver says he doesn't know who Roger is.
Mm.
Mark drives away, and once they get to Cranford Industries, Mark tells the guard they're looking for employees Lucy and Greg Burrows. So now we have the parent's name and the family last name.
Mm-hmm.
And Lucy and Greg are installing computer mainframes, but the guard has never heard of them. Mark and Kara are escorted inside by another security guard, and they are taken to the front lobby. They try to talk to the receptionist, but she gets phone call after phone call. And then finally, Kara sees her mom and dad walking toward her, but it wasn't really her mom and dad after all. It was just people who looked like them.
Sure.
Mark and Kara are then escorted to see Mr. Marcus. He's the CEO of Cranford Industries. Mark and Kara tell him that they are looking for their mom and dad, and when they tell Mr. Marcus their name, he says no one by that name works here, and they aren't having any computers installed.
So I want to know, are we expected to believe this is a huge company, in which case the CEO may not know the name? Because I feel like it would have to be huge if the security guard didn't know the parents. Leslie's also in the call, but we never get to that. But, or is it a small company because the CEO knows everybody, then why didn't the guard know them? So I feel like the inconsistencies here. Also, it just occurs to me, in 1990, how many families did you know that only had one car that they all shared? I feel like by 1990, most households were two-car households.
Had a two-car
in
household.
This income bracket anyway.
That's true. However, the mom and dad, they work together.
Right.
So I don't think that they would need two cars in this household. The kids aren't old enough to drive themselves. Well, I think Mark's has
16,
his license.
yeah.
Okay. So yeah, maybe that was the plan for after they move to the next town, that they'll give Mark a car.
Yeah, just once you have 3 drivers in the house, just having one car seems...
Yeah.
And it seems like they make enough money to afford a second car, so I don't know.
That's true.
I understand why they drive together to work, but it still seems odd to me.
Mm.
So they're sitting in Shadyside Park reviewing all the clues they have to find their mom and dad. They have the monkey head, they have the van, they have Roger's pistol, and only some of those are actual legitimate clues. It's sort of... They decide to go into the school to use the payphone to call Roger and the police, but they see Corey and David walking out, and they joke about the party last night. So Mark and Kara ignore them. At the payphone, Mark calls the house. Roger answers. He says the parents aren't home yet, but he has to get going. But that proves the phone's been fixed, so yay.
Mm-hmm.
The lunch bell rings, and Kara goes to sit with Lisa and Shannon. Mark tries to find Gina, but can't, so assumes she just didn't come to school that day. And he realizes he may be in love with her. He's a horny teenager. It's not love. After school, Mark and Kara head home. Neither Roger nor their parents are home. Mark calls Gina when she answers. Mark thinks she sounds upset. Then it seems like Gina breaks up with him. That part was really unclear too, that it was they didn't give her side of the conversation of exactly what she said.
Right.
It was just him going, "Are you breaking up with me?" I don't know.
Yeah, but I think as an adult, I'm aware of that side of the conversation, like the breakup conversation. But I would have been 10 when I was reading this, but as like a 13-year-old or whatever, I wouldn't know what that conversation sounded like.
That's true. All the more reason to show us the conversation.
Yes, instead of telling us about it.
Yes.
Yeah. Show, don't tell, RL. So we're in chapter 11, and we are now in Kara's point of view. Kara goes downstairs and sees Mark crying in the living room. He tells her that Gina broke up with him, but he doesn't know why. He also tells Kara he went to Gina's house after he got off the phone with her, but Gina's dad answered the door and said Gina didn't want to see him because she was too upset, so Mark came home. Kara suggests that they call the police since their parents are missing, and Mark suggests calling 911, but Kara remembers Captain Faraday came by the party last night and gave her his card. She calls Faraday and tells him their parents are missing, and Faraday says he'll look into it and not to worry because he hasn't received any accident reports or, murder calls or whatever. Before Kara hangs up the phone, she hears the line click and realizes Roger has been listening to her phone call with Faraday.
I think once we find out what we find out about Roger, he'd be smart enough not to hang up the phone and give himself away, until she hangs up.
Right. Before we found out who Captain Faraday is, this kind of gave me pause. Like, you as a police officer know that there are 2 minor children in a home by themselves. Their parents are missing. You aren't calling social services or, children's services, anything to get them under supervision.
At that point, didn't they tell him, though, about Roger? So if they had an adult cousin.
I don't remember them telling.
No, definitely not the night of the party, because we didn't know about Roger yet. So yeah, he did. Chapter 12, Mark's point of view. Kara confronts Roger about listening in on the call. He denies it, and then they interrogate him about the gray van and the gun. Roger tells them he knows nothing about the van. And the gun was a gift from his dad before his dad, who was a police officer, was shot and killed in a drug bust. Roger leaves, and Kara and Mark go to the kitchen to make dinner. Peanut butter and jelly, of course. Is that why you had a peanut butter sandwich before you came?
I think so. Subconsciously, I was like, what's going to go great with this podcast? Peanut butter.
Yeah, you gotta get in their heads so you can really understand the characters. Mark starts thinking about Gina, and Kara sees that Roger's leaving, so she decides to follow him, leaving Mark alone. The phone rings in. It's Gina. She tells Mark she has something important to tell him, but of course, then the line goes dead.
So do you think it's really a faulty phone line, or is someone out back just snipping lines? And
yeah, so that's the thing. But then reconnecting them, I don't know. Again, just explain something. I guess we're supposed to think it's a Fear Street thing, that their phone will just randomly go dead.
Yeah,
for periods of time.
In chapter 13, Mark decides that he's going to go to Gina's house. So he cuts through Fear Street woods because that's a faster way to Gina's house. On his way through the woods, he remembers a story that Arnie Tobin from book 1, right? He's on the gymnastics team.
Mm-hmm. I did not remember that.
Yeah. Arnie told him that 5 teenagers were dared to stay the night in Fear Street woods. That night, all 5 teenagers started banging on house doors, claiming a guinea pig or rat monster was trying to get them. They called the police, but the police didn't believe them. So the next day, the teenagers returned to the campsite to get their things and saw their tents had been gnawed through and their food had been eaten. So we're in the 4th book now, and we haven't heard or read this story about the 5 teenagers. I think we've read enough stories, or enough of the books have taken place in Fear Street woods that they could have used an actual plot point of book, 2 or 3, really.
Sure. I wondered if that was a Goosebumps book, because I remembered reading about a giant hamster, but when I looked this up, it looks like that was a book called Monster Blood 2 that came out in 1994, so 4 years after this. So as far as I know, it wasn't a Goosebumps book either. He just apparently likes the idea of a giant rodent and came back to it later.
Okay. So Mark continues to walk through the woods, and his flashlight dies, as all flashlights do in Fear Street. He hears footsteps behind him, and not knowing if it's the giant guinea pig rat monster, he runs through the woods but falls into a trap.
There's a lot of falling while running through the woods in the Fear Street books so far, because when they were on the island, they kept running and falling down ravines and things.
They very much fall into the trope of horror movies where you have the helpless female running through the woods and she trips over a twig and she's just done for.
But it also seems like no matter how far they fall, whether it's all the way down a ravine or 6 feet into a pit, they're totally unharmed.
Yeah, absolutely. They don't even complain about a bruise.
Right.
Nothing.
At least you'd be scratched up. I could definitely see some bones being broken, but not these kids. They're all superheroes. That's the twist at the end of the series. Chapter 14. Back to Kara's POV. Kara follows Roger to a college campus bar called Alma's, very popular college bar, and sees he's talking to the guy from the van. She sees Roger draw what seems to be a map. Just as Kara is about to leave, Roger sees and grabs her by the arm. He introduces her to Dr. Murdoch and says he is Roger's faculty advisor. Kara excuses herself and leaves, and as she's heading home, she wishes that they had relatives who live nearby so they could go to their house for safety, because they don't trust the relative that lives with them.
Right.
Just as Kara is about 2 blocks from home, though, she notices a car following her. And we're going back and forth, so we can't get the answers to these right away.
Yeah, because chapter 4, that was Kara's point of view. Now we're in chapter 15, which is Mark's point of view. So Mark has fallen into a pit. It's about 6 feet deep. He hoists himself out of the pit only to meet a dog who chose violence that morning. The dog lunges at Mark, and he wrestles with the dog for quite a bit, but ultimately gets the dog in a bear hug and snaps the dog's neck. The dog is dead, and Mark sees there's a monkey skull head on the dog's collar. I found this completely unnecessary to kill this random dog.
It also was so disturbing. It made me a bit sick to read that section, and it's I wanted him to get out of the pit and leave the dog alone. And then I just kept thinking, well, maybe this dog comes back as is it a ghost dog? Maybe it really killed. I just kept expecting something about the dog to come back.
Right.
Nobody even mentions the dog again.
No. So Mark sees that the dog was originally on a leash, but had broken loose from the chain. And the dog, assumingly, was to guard a clearing in the woods that Mark has found. Mark finds his way out of Fear Street Woods and heads to Gina's. He sees the living room light is on and peers in the window to see Gina's dad is in the living room watching TV. Mark climbs up the rose trellis to Gina's bedroom. He's about a third of the way up, and he starts to fall. So if he's a third of the way up a house, what is that, 10 feet?
Not even. So a second floor window? I mean, the second floor window is probably 12, 14 feet up, right?
Yeah.
I don't think the second floor window would be that. So maybe he falls like 4 feet?
4 to 5 feet.
Yeah.
But they make it seem like he is just falling.
Well, he just fell 6 feet. Now he fell 4 to 5 feet, we're guessing. Yeah. He's pretty, he should stop like being above things he could fall.
That's true.
Too. I don't know. Chapter 16, back to Kara to find out about this mysterious car. Turns out, of course, it's somebody we already are aware of, Captain Faraday, who's just following to see if she needed a ride home. I remember that he mentions, like, I wasn't sure it was you, so I just slowly, slowed down and creepily followed you while I was trying to figure out if it was you. Wouldn't you pull up beside and roll down your window, be like, oh, hi, Kara, or something?
Yeah, I'm your friendly neighborhood police officer. You don't need to be alarmed.
Right. So she gets in the car, tells him everything that's going on about Roger, his pistol, the monkey skull, everything. Her feelings for Gina, all of it. Captain Faraday asks for a recent picture of the parents to pass out to officers which I think he should have done the first time. Yeah. When she gets home, she gives a picture to Faraday, and he says he's on the case. Kara realizes Mark isn't home and guesses he's probably at Gina's house, so she decides to watch TV until he gets home. And as she goes to watch TV, she sees headlights shine in the window and wonders who could possibly be pulling into her driveway.
So we're in chapter 17, and is now Mark's point of view again. He's fallen to the ground, and he scraped his hand on the rose thorns on the way down. So finally, after falling, he does suffer an injury.
Which is why later, when his archery is so important and his hand is injured, he can't possibly
do it.
I mean, I feel like that little, never mind, things that don't pay off.
He decides to try again, and this time he makes it to the top and pries Gina's window open. He climbs inside and sees Gina's nowhere in sight, but her room is immaculate. He notices his picture is among the many pictures on her closet door and decides to hide inside the closet to wait for Gina. But he sees something sparkle under Gina's bed. He picks it up, and it's the same monkey head that his parents had in their room and that was on the dog's collar. He puts the monkey head in his pocket just as the bedroom door opens, and it's Gina's dad with a pistol.
Also, he decided to bandage his hand with her clean white sock.
I forgot to put that in my notes.
And he's like, I'm sure she won't mind. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, this nice, look, I know you got, I feel like you don't pick white. You pick like a dark color that you might have a chance of getting blood out of instead of ruining her white sock. I'd be mad if I were you.
I would be mad too.
Right? Yeah. Or look for an old sock with holes in it or something, like a shirt with stains. You know what I'm talking about? Something, not a clean, pristine sock. So chapter 18, Dr. Rawlings, because thankfully we don't cut away from Mark this time. Gina's dad, he sees it's Mark and puts the gun down. It says he throws the gun on the bed. Right,
just like plops it.
Yeah, like...
Did he put the safety on first?
That would have been really funny if it went off when it hit the bed. But I guess I'm thinking he's at the door. Mark's probably closer to the bed. So does he throw it past Mark to the bed? Does he throw it to the side?
Yeah.
I don't know why he's throwing it to the bed. It makes no sense.
No, it doesn't. Like, put it in your holster, Dr. Rawlings.
He probably doesn't have a holster, but...
It's not a very sensible gun owner in my
At least just like lower it, but keep it in your hand.
Yeah.
Or put it on a desk or, I don't know, tossing it on the bed. Just
toss it.
Mark apologizes for being there, and Dr. Rawlings says it's okay. He understands, young love. He tells Mark that Gina was so upset about the breakup that she went to her cousin's house upstate on a farm. No farm. Mark apologizes again and goes home. I was expecting the father to be angrier at him for breaking into his daughter's room. Even understand. He's too understanding.
Right. And the whole upstate, is this supposed to be upstate New York or upstate Ohio? Because there is no upstate Ohio.
I guess Cleveland's upstate Ohio, right?
No one calls Cleveland upstate Ohio.
I know. Toledo.
There's no farms. I think Cleveland.
Well, they didn't mention a farm. I was just thinking how you say the dog is odd to live on a farm upstate.
So we're in chapter 19. We're back to Kara's point of view. And we find out that Lisa Bloom stopped by because she wants to study history with Kara. Kara thinks about how pretty Lisa is, and Lisa tells her that Gary Brandt wants to ask her out, but Kara doesn't act interested, except for, ooh, it's nice that a boy likes me.
Mm-hmm.
Kara eventually tells Lisa that her parents are missing, and Lisa offers for Mark and Kara to stay at her place until the parents come back, but Kara declines. Lisa and Kara study for a bit, but then Lisa goes home. Kara remembers she was going to move Roger's pistol from his room, but when she goes up there, the pistol is gone.
There's also a really weird story that Lisa thinks is worth telling about somebody like losing their gum in somebody else's mouth while they're making out. And I know Kara reacts with great story sarcastically, but also I just didn't really see that. Well, that's just why I was asking about the gum. It doesn't gel.
Yeah.
In fact, the whole chapter seemed kind of unnecessary.
Well, yeah, because Kara tells Lisa that Gina broke up with Mark, and she's like, is it because he had gum in his mouth?
Right.
And then tells that ridiculous story.
Right. So, chapter 20, it's Thursday, and their parents have now been missing for 2 whole days, and they still haven't home aloned it. Mark and Kara go to school, and then go to the mall to get pizza for dinner. Wasn't there another book where they were at the mall eating pizza? I think it was the one that you read with Kristen.
Oh, Prom Queen?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
probably, yeah.
So there's definitely a pizza shop at the mall, but I want to know the name of the pizza shop.
Yeah. Shady Side Pizza. Shady Pizza.
On their way home, Kara remembers Wally Wilburn, one of their parents' work friends, and he likes to go bowling. Detail we don't need to know, I don't think. Kara and Mark find his address in the phone book and drive to a house that's in the next town over. That whole, finding the address thing where they look in their parents' directory, but there's no address. And then they look in the phone book and there he is. But then how do we get there? Oh, there's a map in the phone book. It just false tension.
Yeah.
So they get to his house and Wally tells them he hasn't seen their parents at work all week because he's been working in another area. Is Wally an actual employee there, I assume? Because
this is the only time we hear about Wally.
Right. We don't know if he's in the cult. We don't know if he's also undercover. We don't know.
Yeah.
I was expecting him to show up in the climax too. But so he gives Kara and Mark the Cranford Industry Employee Directory, and Kara sees their parents are listed in it. So it turns out Mr. Marcus lied about not knowing their parents. Mm-hmm. That was not my first assumption. My first assumption was, oh, their parents are definitely doing something mysterious and
shady.
The moving town. Yeah, shady side. Mm-hmm. Moving towns for lack of. So I'm like, well, Wally's the one work friend they talked about. He's probably in on whatever they're doing. So they probably have this fake directory for whatever. But that's not there were several leaps of logic the kids make that I'm like, that's not the leap I would have made.
Right.
To figure this out. They call the number, but it just rings. So they go home. When they get, and we know they've already called the directory line before too. They just had to do it for show with Wally. When they get there, they see the gray van parked outside and all the lights in the house are on. They go inside and head up to Roger's room and they see Roger slumped at his desk with an arrow in his neck. He's dead. And Faraday comes out from behind the door holding Mark's bow and arrow, and he asks Mark why he killed Roger. Was there ever a second you didn't immediately know that Faraday was the one that killed Roger? That seems so obvious.
It does seem very obvious. Yeah, and now Faraday has his prints all over the bow and arrow, so good luck getting a fair trial on that one.
Well, he would have already had his prints on the bow and arrow, but Mark's would have been too. So by him picking it up, he could say, I picked it up to turn it in as evidence, which I know is not proper police procedure, but that's
Don't get me started.
That's the deniability, I think.
So in chapter 21, we are back to Mark's point of view. Faraday leads Kara and Mark down into the living room, and just as they sit down, Dr. Murdoch from the gray van comes in waving a gun around and tells them to all sit down. Faraday fires 3 shots and kills Murdoch. And then Faraday calls into the station to ask for backup and tells the station not to bother with the paramedics, but to send the guys. Mark excuses himself to the kitchen to get some water. When he gets to the kitchen, he sees the phone is off the hook, and he realizes the phone has been dead the whole time, and Faraday never really called for backup. So if Mark thought that this police officer was just don't worry about sending the paramedics. Dude is dead as a doorknob, and he thinks like, yes, this is how police work is supposed to be done.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you don't need to send anybody. Also, you mentioned the fingerprints on the boat. I remember there's a detail in, I think it's earlier, that Faraday puts his hand on Kara's shoulder and he's wearing a glove. So,
maybe he's wearing a glove.
But that's never mentioned again and never pays off in any way,
Yeah.
shape, or form. But he may not have fingerprints on the boat if he's still wearing the gloves.
Yeah,
Because I remember thinking that's weird. Why is the cop wearing gloves?
Yeah.
Anyway, so chapter 22, Faraday has Mark come back in the living room to ask about their parents. And as Faraday's asking where their parents are, Mark tells Kara that he can't be trusted and lunges at Faraday to subdue him. Faraday gets out of Mark's hold and confesses that he killed Roger and Murdoch to get to the parents. Faraday used to be a cop, but their parents did something and now he's no longer a cop. He tells Mark he's going to shoot him unless they tell him where their parents are. They tell him they don't know, and then Gina with a hunting rifle shows up. She shoots the rifle at Faraday, but purposely misses. Was it clear it was purposely?
Mhm.
Okay, I wasn't clear on that. She tells Kara and Mark that they need to get to a meeting, and they lock Faraday in the garage. What kind of garage locks from the outside?
That was my thought too. I almost looked up to see like when did automatic garage doors become a thing?
They were definitely a thing by 1990.
By 1990.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I feel like Faraday would have been able to get out of this locked garage. Like, is there a window? Is there a side door?
And also, you lock the garage from the inside to keep people from getting into the garage. So he should just be able to turn the lock again.
Yeah.
I guess my grandmother, who lived like at a farmhouse, had a detached garage, and she did put like a padlock on it, but that's not the way they described this.
Yeah.
And that would have made sense. But
Mhm.
yeah, I was just kept thinking, how do you lock it in the garage? Every garage door I know you lock. Yeah. Or my garage, you can lock from inside the house but then they hit the garage door open.
Yeah, and then you're out. Yeah.
Yeah. And even if the power's out, you can still get that door open.
So back in chapter 22, Gina tells them that she has been at her cousin's and hitchhiked her way back to Shadyside because her dad wanted her out of the way. She leads Mark and Kara through the Fear Street woods and tells them that they have to hurry because the meeting has already started. And this like elusive meeting that we have no idea. Mark and Kara see candles burning in the clearing that Mark saw the night before where he killed the dog. And Gina tells them that her dad has robes and candles at her house that they can use to join the meeting. And Mark has reservations, but Gina basically says this is the only way to get your parents back.
Clearly not. I mean, yeah. First
So
of all,
other ways.
I thought it was just a vigil for the poor dog that died, that they got candles in the woods.
Yeah.
But going in there with robes to sneak in, you think that's more unarmed, is more effective than coming in with your shotgun and pointing it at them.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
yeah. She also has no plan once they get in the meeting. She only has a plan to get them in the meeting, not to do anything once they're in it. Gina, just don't trust her about this stuff. So chapter 23, it's Kara's point of view. Gina leads them to the basement and tells them that her dad is part of the Brotherhood, but doesn't believe in the killing that they do. Gina gives them a maroon robe and black candles to blend in with the other members of the Brotherhood, and they sneak into the meeting. As it's starting, two members wearing the white monkey masks stand in the center of the circle. Their masks are taken off, and Kara sees it's her parents, and they're the leaders of the Brotherhood. Again, a leap I don't understand.
No. I mean, I guess if you see two people front and center of this meeting and like a big to-do is being made about them, then maybe you can think like, oh yeah, they're like important people and maybe they are the leaders. But yeah, that seemed a bit odd.
Mm-hmm.
So in chapter 24, we are now in Mark's point of view. Mr. Marcus from Cranford Industries is leading the cult. It seems the Brotherhood of the White Monkey wants to take back America from the government and the criminals that run it.
This gets very intense here.
It does. So Mr. Marcus says that he has to punish those who betrayed the Brotherhood, and Mark realizes the Brotherhood is going to kill his parents. Mr. Marcus tells the dad to confess to his betrayal, but the dad doesn't speak. Then Mr. Marcus goes to stab the dad in the head with a knife, but the mom pushes Mr. Marcus. However, she's quickly subdued by another cult member. Mark reaches into his pocket and pulls out the monkey head he found in Gina's room. He throws it at Mr. Marcus, but misses. Mr. Marcus looks up and asks, "Who threw that?"
But he's staring right at him.
Right.
So I did appreciate that he missed. I mean, it's not apparently because his hand is cut and there's no archery involved, but I did appreciate that he missed instead of it like landing perfectly.
Yeah, like right between the eyes.
Yeah.
Mr. Marcus goes down.
Yep. So we're up to chapter 25. Mark throwing the monkey head was enough of a distraction for the parents to break free from Mr. Marcus. The dad knocks Mr. Marcus to the ground and pulls out a gun and tells them everyone is under arrest. He's the FBI. All the Brotherhood members scatter except for Dr. Rawlings. He surrenders, but Dad places him under arrest. Dr. Rawlings said at first he believed in the Brotherhood's message, but once the killing began, he was afraid to leave. He mentions that he stopped the Brotherhood from killing Kara and Mark. Mark and Kara tell their parents that Roger and Murdoch are dead, and the dad reveals that Roger was also an agent, and Murdoch was their field director. They also tell them that Faraday was a crooked cop, and the parents put him in prison. Mark and Kara tell them that Faraday is in the garage, and they head to Gina's house.
To return the robes.
Well, yeah, you've got to return the robes. And now Gina doesn't have a parent, so really they should be taking Gina back with them, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah. So in chapter 26, it's Mark's point of view. The mom and dad basically tell Mark and Kara that Mr. Marcus was very charismatic and told people what they wanted to hear in order to get them to follow him.
That's interesting.
That sounds so familiar.
Every cult leader ever?
Every.
But, yeah.
Even the one right now.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what cult you're talking about, but yeah.
No, I don't know.
Mr. Marcus is in real estate, right? That's what the firm does?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. I think went bankrupt a few times. So the parents got a job at Cranford Industries to infiltrate the Brotherhood, but when Mr. Marcus discovered who they were, he locked them in the basement for 3 days until the meeting, because he couldn't kill them until the meeting.
Sure.
They tell the kids they're going to move soon to work on the next subversive group assignment. A few days later, Mark is packing the moving truck and Gina comes up in a taxi. She tells him she loves him, but she is moving to Detroit to live with her mother while her dad is basically being federally prosecuted.
It's an Uber in the republish, right?
Yeah.
Instead of a taxi.
Probably, yeah. She gives Mark a monkey head that has her Detroit address attached to it. They kiss and she gets in the taxi, and Mark is excited to write her soon.
That's all fine and dandy, but you're going to use the symbol of the cult that tried to kill your parents as the way to deliver your love message?
Right. Like, I get the little wink and nod that R.L. Stine is trying to put in there, but like you said, what a triggering moment.
Right?
And that's the end of Missing.
Sure. And this one ends with everybody, all the main kids moving out of town, so we won't see them again.
Yeah. Yeah,
Which,
that's true.
Yeah, it was an interesting, because we've had all these running people, but it's like, oh, well, Kara and Mark were probably gone forever.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if they ever pop back up.
I hope so, but, I hope Kara pops back up. I didn't care for Mark that much.
No, I didn't care for Mark. And I wonder if Kara's friendship with Shannon, and especially Lisa Bloom, if that's enough for her to like want to come back at a later time.
And then they could throw her a surprise party.
Yeah, they could. And I'm sure that will work out great.
If they'd just done these in a different order.
Yeah, that actually would have made more sense. So, no, they're going to throw Kara a coming out party.
Aww. How sweet.
I'm excited.
Me too.
So, what do you rate this?
Letter grades? I'd say a C-.
Okay. This is one of the first ones that I've actually liked.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I rated it a B+ or a 4 out of 5. I thought the ending was rushed, but other than that, it was an easy read for me. I told you it takes me days to read these because I'm such a slow reader and I take notes anyway. But this, I was like breezing through it. So I thought that it was a very easy read. Like I said, the ending was rushed, but I liked the whole cult story.
I like the cult story. What really lowers the grade for me is all the things that never pay off, all the things that are teased or...
You are right about that. Yeah.
That's what really bothered me from a writing perspective. It just did not seem cohesively written.
Yeah, you're right. So what did you like about it?
I thought the cult stuff was intriguing. I liked that the danger was more intense. It was definitely more of an adult situation, but he straddled the line of not making it feel too adult for the target audience. So I think that was well done.
Yeah.
And I liked Kara. I did not like the jumping back and forth, but I get why he did it. There were definitely the chapters where they split up and had their own little stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also liked Gina's dad. I thought that was an interesting character and a sympathetic character and one that felt realistic.
Yeah.
Whereas some of the other characters like Roger and Murdoch and stuff were so like bland or uninteresting or not well developed. Faraday too just wasn't that well developed. But I thought Gina's dad, I wish he'd been in the story more.
Yeah. Well, it's a young adult book, 168 pages. There really just there wasn't enough time, you know. But that's an interesting point that you bring up because, well, first I'll say I agree with everything that you said. That's what I liked about it. And then I also liked that we got our first murder, like in-story murder, finally.
I mean, it was a dog, but...
Well, no, because Roger...
I was... But the dog died first.
I know. That was awful. I don't want any more of that.
Roger and the guy from the van. So we had 3 deaths in this. The dog and 2 people.
Yeah. I'll go into more about what I didn't like about it after I ask you, but since we're on the topic of it, I did say that a lot of the scenes that were happening, it seemed like RL was just trying to meet his word count.
Yeah.
You know, so all of the red herrings that he had are just, and then he went to the phone and then to the kitchen and then to the phone again. So that I didn't like. And I wish what you had mentioned, instead of trying to get his word count with like location changes, that he got his word count through character buildup, giving these side characters just a little more.
Give Kara a romance with Gina.
Yeah.
Like a triangle.
Ooh, that would have been great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what didn't you like about it?
I mean, yeah, the inconsistencies, the things like the archery that didn't pay off. I guess they kind of used that to sort of frame him, but I felt like that should have been part of the climax. Similar. I mean, the Roger, like, why was he listed as a cousin when before it was just random college students? There were so many of those things. It wasn't just 1 or 2 that it was. That is what really killed it for me. From a narrative structure, I kept like keeping track of the clues and then they didn't matter.
Yeah.
And that was frustrating.
Yeah. For me, as reading it as an adult, I thought that it was very predictable. I knew their parents were missing. I knew they were being held hostage somewhere. I joked that they were in a swingers club.
Sure.
But it was very obvious they were in some sort of like cult thing. I didn't know that they were FBI agents. I just knew that they were somehow involved in a cult. At first, I liked the change in the point of view, but ultimately I felt like it turned out to be pointless. Like you said, there was just no payoff for it. Wally Wilborn, he was very unnecessary. They could have found the directory somewhere else. They didn't need to go to Wally's house. Again, just getting that word count of location changes. I have here a lot of the dialogue and traveling from place to place felt like RL was just trying to get a word count quota. And that's just overall what it felt like.
This was early enough while he's got probably contracted to put like 3 of these books out a year or something. It was probably just rushed. It was, didn't go back over it.
Well, I went through and I kind of like calculated, okay, if he was working on these 40 hours a week, like a normal work week, and they're roughly 160 pages in those 40 hours, like how many pages would he have to write in each hour?
So how many books was he putting out a year at this point? Because there would have been several Fear Street books and several Goosebumps books.
He wasn't in Goosebumps yet.
Oh, he wasn't yet. Okay.
No, not yet.
Wait, I thought Goosebumps was first. Did we already talked
about this. Yeah, Fear Street was definitely first.
Okay.
Yeah, Goosebumps wasn't until like 93, 94.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Still.
Yeah. So he would have to write 4 chapters a day, I think. Hang on. Let me do that math again. So
I was going to say that would be like 8 days of work for this book.
So 160 pages in a 40-hour work week. So he would have to write 4 pages an hour.
If he wrote 1 book a week, he's not writing that fast.
Yeah.
He's how many books do you put out in a year? Like 3 or 4 at this point?
He did one every other month.
Okay, so he had like 8 or 9 work weeks to do a book.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that 8 or 9 work weeks means he only has to get like 3 chapters done a week.
Uh-huh.
So that's not bad at all.
No.
That's really,
And
I
they're
could easily do that.
very short chapters. Yeah.
I could write a book of this length in a week for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That length, that simplicity,
Mhm.
absolutely. A lot of these, it just feels like he's just making it up as he goes along,
Yeah.
sort of thing. What were your overall thoughts?
I mean, yeah, I kind of feel like we basically covered it. I think this was a little weaker than the first couple, in my opinion, but I think it had some elements I want to see him lean into more going forward. So I wasn't creeped out by this one the way
Okay.
some of the other ones creeped me out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was fine. It's probably my least favorite of the 5 because I read the Prom Queen too, even though I wasn't on that
Oh,
podcast.
okay.
I think it's my least favorite of the 5 so far.
Okay. I would say this is probably smack dab in the middle
Okay.
for me out of the 5 that we've read. So for me, I think I wrote that it's definitely relevant for 2025 with the cult aspect and how Mr. Marcus was very charismatic, told people what they wanted to hear, easy for him to get followers.
Well, and that's every few years there's some big cult that comes out and is exposed and is taken down. So I feel like that's a timeless, evergreen thing.
You are right. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I thought that the resolution was a bit silly. It was surprisingly ahead of its time in anticipating the rise of like hate groups and extreme ideologies. But
But we've always had those in this country too.
yeah, but bringing it to the forefront of like for 13-year-olds to read,
Yeah, the KKK by that time would have receded in the memory, so there wasn't as something as obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it's a great book for kids to help them see through some of the nonsense pushed by extremists.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And yeah, another book where the parents ended up being just extraneous to the story too, right? I mean, I know they're missing the catalyst, but they were rescued by the kids and they really didn't do anything to...
Like, where are the other FBI agents?
Right? Well, it was Robert and the van guy.
Yeah.
But I would have thought there'd be more.
They would have to so shouldn't the van guy have to be reporting, you know?
He's the director of the area or something.
Yeah, but he has a boss, I'm sure. Yeah.
I would have thought when they go missing after 3 days, there'd be a few more agents having arrived in town to help out.
Exactly.
And I assumed Wally was one, but I don't think so.
Not. No. Okay. So next episode, we are going to cover book number 5, The Wrong Number, and we are going to have Ryan Yohe.
Yohe.
I know, I'm so excited. He is going to join us on a few of the books that have sequels. So there is The Wrong Number, and then later on, The Wrong Number 2.
Uh-huh.
So he will join us on some of the sequel books.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Me too. I like Ryan Yohe.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much for talking about missing with me.